I see that you logged 120 PM hours last week. There are only 90 billable hours for this project. What happened? Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Daisy Doll. The 4 things I hated and could not stand the most about being a project manager in tech. There is a laundry list that rubbed me the wrong way. I had no other choice but to take the punches. The first thing is having to explain to clients what the PMs were doing on their project. I've had it said to my face, what do you all do anyway? I've literally had a client ask, what are the project managers doing on our projects? And I was like, there's no way that I'm sitting here right now and this is the question being asked. The client essentially said, the hours look a little high, what happened? And then I have to say, okay, yeah, well, remember when you wanted that extra customization, the estimate that the developer did, the developer had to add some extra hours. When we present that, oh, hey, here are the estimates. They're like, okay, great. But then they forget that the project manager has to write the tickets, has to manage the developer, has to have the scrum meetings to make sure the developer is on track, has to set up the scope meetings to make sure everything is aligned. So when they see the budget went over, they're only taking into consideration the developer. It's like the PM was basically a ghost. I mean, all the PM is doing is setting up meetings anyway. The developer is the one doing all the work, all the coding. What they're basically saying is that you're useless and they don't need you as a middleman to have the developer do the work that needs to be done. I hated having to explain, well, this is our value. This is what we do. This is what we're bringing to the table. This is what we're helping you with. Why do I have to explain the reason for me being here on this project? You signed a contract with the agency. They already told you it was gonna come with developers, PMs, marketing team, customer service, all this stuff. But then when it comes to the invoice, the first person they want to attack is me. And in fact, one client suggested, you know what, can we just directly message the developer what we need instead of having to go through the project manager to then get it to the developer? And I was like, wow, they completely don't understand the concept of having a project manager. You're over here working tirelessly, stressing out, you're dealing with mean people at work, you're dealing with a nasty manager, a nasty boss for their benefit. You can't just leave the developers to roam freely. The developers need these reins that are put on them by the project managers. I feel like the only people they enjoy really giving money to, these clients, is the marketing team. When the marketing team asks for money, they're like, oh yeah, go ahead, $500,000, $1 million. Like, they will throw so much money at marketing. But then for some reason, when it comes to project management, they are the most frugal. So the other thing that I could have really done without, that I could not stand, I hated it, is time tracking. Every project manager job that I've had in tech has a time tracking system. They literally want to track your every breath, every step, every move you make. Okay, that wasn't an intentional reference, but literally, they want to track everything, every breath, by the second. You have to log it in. How much percentage of your billable time did you put in? I'm already stressing out doing the work. Now I have to be stressed out logging the time. And they always want you to log it every day, every single day. You gotta go into their time tracking productivity system and you gotta like log in your hours. Client hours, spent 30 minutes on client meetings today. The other 30 spent it reviewing tickets in Jira. The other hour spent it discussing with the solutions architect on the next steps. The other 15 minutes in the morning spent it doing Scrum. How can you get to logging and time tracking yourself every day when you have so much project management work to do. The other thing that I did not like, I couldn't stand as a project manager in tech, was having to explain to the clients why the project did not get completed in the first sprint and how it's now gonna take 3 sprints to complete. That is such a tough conversation to have. It's the developers that are delaying this. I remember there was this client, when I came in, another PM had just left and I took over, and the client was basically like, okay, well, here's where we stopped. Here's what we need. I always have my scrum meetings with the developers, right? I'm trying to find out, okay, what are the next steps to move this along? Based on the estimates you made, it looks like we should be able to accomplish this within the time frame that we told them. When the date comes by, as it's approaching, they start to tell me, oh, we found some extra bugs. You just never know what you're gonna find when you get into these tickets. And I'm like, what? Can't you put like some buffer time in the estimate so that, it covers for this? Because the client is expecting these updates are gonna be launched by a certain date, and you're giving them these estimates. These developers, they do not have to stand in front of the firing squad when it comes to explaining what happened to the tickets. Why the tickets did not get completed in the sprint that they said it would. Why is it now gonna take 3 extra sprints compared to the 1 sprint that they said? They're not the ones who have to explain this. Yeah, I think someone ended up getting fired after that. Oh my God. Okay, that is not funny. Getting fired is not funny. However, I just remember it had happened so much with this one client. The last thing that I felt I could have done without, that I hated in my 9 to 5 as a project manager in tech, is having to explain things to clients, and for some reason they don't believe you. It's like you're talking to a brick wall. I don't know how many people have experienced this, but I experienced it with one client. There was an update that needed to happen, and they needed to pay this extra unexpected subscription fee. As it was explained to me, I took it to them and explained it to them. And by the way, it was explained to me by the CTOs. This was coming from a very valid source that had already analyzed the system and confirmed that they need this subscription update. I took the information and I conveyed it to them in our client meeting. For some reason, the guy, I don't know if he was like the VP or something of the company at the time, but I literally was constantly explaining to him and letting him know, hey, to move forward with the other items on this list of yours, we actually need this subscription update and we need your approval. He kept saying he just doesn't understand why they need this. In fact, I took word for word the text that the CTO had given me and I copied it and pasted it in my communication to him, and he still just couldn't get it. I would always take this back to my team and say, hey, this is what's going on. What do we do here? Eventually, they said, you know what? We're just gonna have the CTO join you on the client meeting and explain it to him. The CTO joins and he essentially says word for word what I had told this guy, word for word. And do you know the way the guy reacted? He was like, oh, okay, yeah, let's do it. I was like, son of a... That, I feel, was the first time I felt like the only Black person in the room. That was the first time I felt like a minority, because it was one non-Black person talking to another non-Black person who looked just like the other person. They looked the same, essentially. I don't know. I guess he was just more comfortable, he felt more confident hearing it from someone who looked just like him versus me. It was tough because he gave me such a hard time. He made it look like I just didn't know what I was doing. However, as soon as the CTO joined the call, within 5 minutes, he was just like, yeah, let's go ahead. Sure, great, let's do it. All right, we'll move ahead with getting this additional subscription. So that was definitely one of those moments where I was like, man, I hate this job. But anyway, that's it for me. If you like this video, definitely comment, subscribe. Let me know what you're thinking. Has this happened to you? I feel like there are so many people in the project management space going through it. Definitely let me know your thoughts. I look forward to talking to you in my next video. All right, take care. Bye.